morning, friends. I hope you guys are well. As you can see, I'm in Rory's room right now. Today is the day where I am going to deep clean all three of my kids' extremely messy rooms. I'm gonna start in Rory's room first because it is truly the messiest. I like to do this once a season, so about 4 times a year. As we're transitioning into a new season, we're getting ready for back to school, big things happening. I just like to give their room a complete declutter, clean it out, deep clean it for them. They maintain it throughout the season. I just need to give it that extra special mom's touch before we move into something new like back to school. So we're gonna focus on each of the kids' rooms. I'm also hoping to get their bathrooms done today. I'm not gonna touch their closets because I'm gonna save that. I have a back to school prep series coming up like next week very quickly because we're going back to school. I cannot even believe this. We'll save that for soon, but I'm not gonna touch their closets because I'm gonna completely declutter and organize and restock their closets for back to school. So we're gonna focus on every other area today. I asked you guys to submit some questions because I said it would be a lot more voiceovers for today's video because I need to just get into the cleaning and not worry about pausing. And so, oh my gosh, you delivered. I cannot wait to answer some of these questions. You didn't do the basic stuff. You did just some really good detailed questions. So we're gonna get into it. If you're new, welcome. My name is Trisha Miller. I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and stick around. If you need some cleaning motivation today, I got you.
When you're down and you stare out your window, hoping that you'll come up with some words to say. That's not okay. When you feel like you're fed up with
When I have just a massive cleaning job ahead of me, what I always like to do is just get a trash bag and keep it close by. And then I love to just use a simple laundry basket system. You guys have seen me do this when I'm decluttering spaces. I also like to do it when I'm cleaning. I knew that there was going to be a lot of stuff in Rory's room that didn't belong in there. Most of it just needed to simply go one door away to the playroom. And so I just love to have those laundry baskets handy. That way I'm not going in and out, back and forth, and wasting time for every single item that I find and putting it back in its place. I just throw it all in the laundry basket, and then when I'm all done with the project, or sometimes honestly the next day, I put them all back where they belong. I also had Rory help me with some of these as well because a lot of it really just truly belonged in her playroom, which is one of the negatives of her playroom being right outside of her bedroom door. Typically at night when she's having a hard time going to bed, she'll venture out into her playroom and grab a couple of things, and they make their way into her room and stay in there. So I might have to re-strategize a little bit of that sometime this year, but today is not that day. Today we are just getting this room de-cleaned, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into the question and answers because we have so many amazing questions to get to. I just wrote them down as you guys asked me, so we might have some similar repeat questions and I'll reference back to it, but let's get into the first question. Somebody asked, if you weren't filming for your YouTube channel, would you be so organized and clean as often? This one, my initial gut answer for this one when I read it was absolutely not. You guys motivate me sometimes just as much as I hope I motivate you. There are days where I'm human and I am not motivated, but I know I need to film that day because I do kind of have a stricter filming schedule, especially over the summer because I'm trying to maximize the time with my kids. And there's certain days that Steven and I set aside so that I can get my filming done, usually when he's home for the day, so he can spend time with the kids. So it's not me just saying, Mom has to film, go watch a screen. So we definitely have more of a routine schedule for that. And so there are some days where I just don't feel like cleaning and organizing. But then I also thought, you know what, I probably, because I mean, I obviously have to clean my house and organize and things like that off camera. It's not, I can't only wait to when I am filming with you guys, but there are moments where I know I need to get something organized and I just keep putting it off and thinking, oh, I'll just, add it to a video sometime soon. And then weeks go by, sometimes months go by because I put it off knowing that it would be good content to share with you guys. But then also if I just would do it and not worry about filming it, I would probably honestly get it done so much faster. Switching the camera angle and making sure that I hit the record button and all those things definitely adds time when I'm trying to get things done. So filming, it will take me truly a whole day to get things done. Whereas if I didn't have the camera and I wasn't worrying about filming it, I would maybe get the task done in an hour. So that's a question where would I be as clean and organized? Yes, because that organization is my love language. But would I do it on every Tuesday and Friday when I'm filming? No. So part of that is for my channel and to stick to my schedule. And part of that is just human nature and just my personality.
And you know that you can't take another day. Well, that's not okay. We can never go back this road. You never go back that way. I see you standing in the corner like it's okay. Don't you know that you move with your body? Don't you know that you move with your body? We can never go back this road. You never go back that way. I see you standing in the corner like it's okay. Don't you know that you move with your body? Don't you know that you move with your body?
All right, the next question was, where do you store important papers and documents, and then also like medicines and things like that? I'll start with the medicines. If you've seen me in my pantry, we have on the top row of our pantry shelf all of our medicine bins. We have one for adult medication, we have one for the children, and then we have one for our dogs. I've started to add first aid stuff to the dogs bin because the dogs only have a couple of medications that we need to keep, and we keep like their nail clippers in there and things like that. So I like that. It's high, it's out of reach. I think I'm still just in this mindset that I need to keep medication harder to access with children, even though our kids are just getting so much older and they're more aware and they know that they should not, be touching that stuff. It's not like a toddler or things like that. We have just everyday medicine just on the shelf below that, so Tylenol and things like that. And then for important papers and documents, I have a huge recommendation for you guys. I can't even remember who, I think it was a friend that recommended this to us, but for birth certificates, passports, social security cards, Stephen and I's will, things like that, we actually have a small safe in our basement. It's a fireproof and waterproof safe. It's tiny. You can just carry it in your arms. We got it on Amazon. So I will try to find that or find something similar and link it for you guys. I think I remember it being pretty affordable, but it's a really important thing. And I love that it's fireproof and waterproof. You really have to think about water as well and things like that. So highly recommend that. That's where we keep it. I don't have them like filed in there since it's kind of a select group of things. For things that we need to hold on to, most of it is electronic at this point. So I recommend taking pictures of things like insurance policies and stuff like that and just creating like Google folders in your Google Drive and keeping things there. For like papers and stuff, it just tends to get cluttered for me. And I never reference back to a hard copy of something. So I have learned over the years that I don't really need to keep a ton of hard copies of things. I just take a picture and file it away. That way, God forbid something happens to our home, I can just access it still all online in my Google Drive. So those are my recommendations for that. I had multiple questions about teaching, so I'm going to kind of answer all of them in one. So somebody asked me what grades I taught. Somebody asked, why did I stop teaching and do I miss it? And then when my kids get older, will I go back? So I taught for 13 years. 3 of those years were in Texas while Stephen was in medical school. And the other 10 years were here in Virginia. And I taught high school science. So I did the life sciences. I did biology. I did AP environmental science. I did AP biology. I did anatomy, just a lot of the life sciences. I absolutely loved it. So when you teach high school, a lot of the high school classes, you typically have different grade levels. So I taught all the grades. I had 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and they all just had their own unique special thing about them. The 9th graders are so fun because they're typically kind of just eager. And so they're excited about school still. By the time they become seniors, they're, especially mid-year, they're just like ready for college. They're ready for the next step of what's going on in life. And so they all just had their own special little things about them. I love running into my students. A lot of my students still live here in our community, and I will run into them all the time, especially in Target. I always see my old students in Target, and it makes my day. I absolutely love running into my students. So yes, I do miss teaching. I just became a stay-at-home mom about 3 years ago, really when we moved into this new house. When Rory was born 7.5 years ago, I took 2 years off from teaching, and then I went back and the pandemic hit, and I taught all through the pandemic. And then that's when we had that big transition of moving into our new home. And that's when I decided I was going to start staying home. Yes, I will always miss it, but I do not feel the pull to go back to teaching right now. Our oldest son, Charlie, asked me a lot if I'll go back to teaching when he's in high school, because our family is zoned for the high school that I worked at, and my high school that I taught at is amazing. If I went back to teaching, I would absolutely want to go back to that same exact high school. I love it. I love teaching in the community where your students are, and so you just kind of have that fun, like I said, running into them and getting to know them. But I don't feel that pull right now. I have found as my kids get older, I feel like they actually need me more than they did when they were even younger, which is so kind of silly to think about. You know, when they're babies and toddlers, they're just completely dependent on us as parents. But as they're older, it's really the little moments, like right when they get home from school, hearing about their day. I absolutely love that I can take the kids to the bus stop in the morning. I love that I'm the last person they see before they go off to school each day. I love that I'm the first person they see when they get home. And I would not trade that for anything right now. I am so lucky that I got to be a teacher for 13 years. It is the most speaking of teaching, here is Rory's little school. Isn't it the cutest thing ever? It's the brand that they have at Target. It's like not the American Girl doll brand, but the much more affordable one that I actually prefer that they sell at Target. I can't remember what it's called right now. But speaking of teacher, she pretends to be a teacher all day. You see her little Mrs. Miller on her chalkboard, which just warms my heart. Rory says all the time that she wants to be a teacher. My mom was a teacher, so I feel like it is just in my DNA. But I am loving being home. I am loving having a YouTube channel. It is fulfilling a part of me that teaching fulfilled, where you feel like you're helping somebody, you're connecting with somebody, and I am just still getting that fulfillment as a YouTuber. And if you're a teacher, and some of you might be wondering, like, how did I know it was time to take a break? I just constantly felt like I could either be a really good teacher or a really good mom. I never felt like I could do both really, really well. And I am blessed that I didn't have to work, that I had the option to stay home. I know that's not always the case for people. And so that is never lost on me. I am just thankful every single day that I have the option to stay home. But never say never. Do I see myself going back into the classroom? Yeah, maybe I do. I do, because I love teaching. But right now, I know that I am exactly where I need to be. And I'm just so thankful for that. There were a lot of questions about Steven and his job and that work-life balance. I think I mentioned for the first time recently that he is a doctor. I don't think I've ever shared his profession, and I told you guys he's an ER doctor. And so a lot of you asked about, well, somebody said, is he in private practice or in a hospital? He is in a hospital, and he's in a teaching hospital, which is really fun. So he is not, another question, I'm kind of combining all the questions somebody asked, what his role is. And so he works shifts. He does do shift work in the ER. He works with adults, not peds. So he's a adult ER doctor. And he also, it's a teaching hospital. So if you watch Grey's Anatomy and like Bailey when she was in charge of the residents and just all that stuff. So Steven also does that. So he has a lot of different roles in the hospital. So when I tell you guys, he's in a meeting in the office, so part of his job is a lot of meetings. He's on a lot of different committees and things like that. We have a medical school here, so he has roles with the medical school. So he works shifts in the ER, but he is also constantly working too outside of the ER. And somebody said, you asked about his hours and his schedule and things like that. So he does not have your typical Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job. His shifts in the ER are kind of all over the place. Sometimes it's a day shift, sometimes it's a night shift. He will typically work about 2 shifts in the ER a week, sometimes 3, but it's usually 2, and then a couple more days of working with residents and doing meetings and stuff. But what's really nice though is that his schedule is so unique and flexible that he is typically home a lot of the time, and so we get a lot of time as a family, and we find that balance of him needing to get stuff done or I needing to get stuff done, but still really trying to maximize that time as a family. If he can make it to the bus stop, he's at the bus stop with me. So somebody said, how do you work around his schedule? I think we're so used to it at this point. And if you have a spouse where their schedule is just not the typical 9 to 5, you probably get this. You just get so used to it that it just feels like normal for you guys. And he does try to work those night shifts so that when he's away, everybody's sleeping and then he's home during the waking hours. And so it works for our family. I actually am very thankful for his schedule because he is home most of the time, and it's just really nice.
And I move with my body, move with my body. All night long, we body going out. Dance goes on, we body going out. And I move with my body, move with my body.
And then several of you also asked about med school and what that was like. So Steven went to medical school in Texas. He grew up in Austin, Texas, and after college, I moved to Austin, Texas with Steven for a couple years, and then we moved to Fort Worth, Texas, which is where he went to medical school. And Austin and Fort Worth felt very similar to me. I love those towns in Texas. Shout out if anybody is from there. Let me know in the comments. But so my first couple years of teaching was when Steven was in medical school. We got married when he was in medical school. And we were just in our early to mid 20s when he was in school. And so the balance was easier for us. I think if it was later and we had kids, that would have been a lot more challenging. I got pregnant with Charlie his first year of residency. We were already back on the East Coast at that point, and my family was all on the East Coast, so it was really nice. But I still remember I had Charlie, and we were in the hospital, and Steven had to work. I delivered Charlie in the hospital that Steven worked at, but I just remember he had to leave the hospital room where Charlie and I were and go work a shift, and my parents were there. I had family. I certainly was not by myself, but residency was definitely, I would say, more time consuming than medical school, especially first year of residency when you're an intern and you're just working really, really hard. So that was probably the most challenging schedule wise because we were having kids at that point and we had little newborn babies and, everything was an adjustment, but definitely residency. Maybe you can let me know in the comments if you or your spouse went through residency and if you agree with that as well. Okay, and now I want to get into some fun questions that will hopefully not take me as long to answer. As you guys can tell, I am just giving very long answers to these, so no detail is left out. One of you asked, this was a basic one, how old our kids are. So our oldest son, Charlie, is 12. He is going into 7th grade. Our middle son, Liam, is 10. He is going into 5th grade. And then our youngest is our daughter, Rory, and she is 7, and she is going into 2nd grade. And then I loved this question. Somebody said, if your kids could have another pet other than a dog, what would it be? So I asked them and I got the wildest answers. Well, first of all, Liam and Rory both said a cat at first, and I'm allergic to cats. So unfortunately, that will never be an option for us. And I'm very, not anaphylactic allergic, but just my nose gets so stuffy the second I'm around a cat. I love all animals. I think cats are amazing, but we are a dog family through and through. Charlie said he would get an elephant. So that was fun. And then he gave another animal. I can't remember the name, you guys, but I looked up a picture and it's the sweetest thing ever. Hold on, let me Google real quick. Okay, I just looked it up. I don't know how you say this name, but Quokka, Kuoka. It is called the happiest animal on earth. I will put a picture up on the screen right now because it will make your day. It is the sweetest looking thing ever. So I kind of want one of those too. I think they're in Australia. Please let me know, all of my Australian friends out there, but they are so, so cute. Liam and Rory also want a hamster. So that might be in our future because they both were very excited about the possibility of a hamster. We will see. Right now with 3 kids and 2 dogs, I think we are as busy as we possibly can be. Another question that somebody asked for the kids is their favorite basketball team. This came from Michael, one of my little viewers. His grandmother watches and leaves some comments, which I love. Michael's favorite team is the Golden State Warriors. Well, Michael, guess what? Charlie's favorite team is the Golden State Warriors as well. Big Steph Curry fans in this family. I mean, really overall, just big basketball fans in this family. And what's funny is Steven and I we both played basketball as kids, but it was never on our radar. But then Charlie and Liam got super into basketball the past couple of years, and now Rory is into basketball. And so I think just by default, when your kids are passionate about something, you get passionate about it. And so we are loving watching the WNBA. Our 2 teams that we watch all the time are the Washington Mystics. That's the closest team to where we live. We also love watching the Indiana Fever games. I mean, really any WNBA game, we will have it on at least in the background. And the boys just love to watch it. Rory loves to watch it. And I think just because of that, it makes me excited about it. And it's just something we can bond over as a family. So big basketball family over here. Let me know in the comments. Do your families love to watch certain sports together? Or what are you guys into? The next question came from somebody who also went to Virginia Tech, which is where Stephen and I went, and that's where we met. You asked me if Stephen and I were involved in Greek life there, and we were. Stephen was actually the president of his fraternity. His fraternity is gone. I think they got in trouble, many years after Stephen left, but I think they got kicked off the campus at Virginia Tech, but he was in Kappa Sig. My sorority is definitely still there and very much thriving. I am an Alpha Phi. So if you are an Alpha Phi, let me know in the comments, or if you're in a sorority or a fraternity, let me know which one you're in. And it's just so fun to kind of hear people at different universities and what they're in. But yes, we were both heavily involved in Greek life and also involved in other things. Stephen did a lot of like the club sports things. He wooed me with his intertube water polo games that he did. It was so fun to go watch him do that. I did, I think, an adult soccer one. I did a softball one, just, fun stuff like that. I was in student government at Virginia Tech my freshman year as well. I did student government, elementary school, middle school, high school. I've always was heavily involved in that. So it was fun to do that in college. But through my sorority, I did a lot of community service stuff, and there just was a lot of opportunities to stay active and give back and do a lot of things. So I had a really positive Greek life experience in college. All right, the next question. Some of you mentioned The Summer I Turned Pretty because I told you a new season was coming out and I was excited to watch it, and I have watched it. When I'm doing this voiceover, 2 episodes have come out. They're releasing it 1 episode at a time every single Wednesday. This is on Prime. I will link the series if you are in the video description box if you're looking for a show. It is just the sweetest, most entertaining show. I absolutely love it. I love how season 3 is going. There's already just a lot of drama. Somebody said, are you team Jeremiah or team Conrad? And I won't give any spoilers away, especially if you've watched it. So my answer is going to be that I am team Belly. I think she is young and she should live her own life for a little bit, and then whatever is the right choice or the right team, it will come to her. But because it's too hard to choose between those two. If you have watched the show, you probably know what I mean, or maybe you have made a decision. Let me know in the comments. If you watch The Summer I Turned Pretty, are you team Jeremiah or team Conrad? Don't give away any spoilers though for anybody, but I love it. It's just such a fun show, and it's just one of those things where you can kind of escape. And that leads me to a question where somebody asked for some book recommendations. I am constantly doing book recommendations on here. I love to read. I'm a part of a book swap with my friends. So I right now am back to Lucy Score. I'm doing her, I think it's the Blue Moon series. I'll link it in the video description box. I'm about to do book 2. I just want to do simple, fun, fast reads this summer. I do think I'll probably get into another Sarah Maas series in the fall. I did A Court of Thorns and Roses, all the books in that series this past spring. I needed a little bit of a break from something that required so much time. So I'm just doing fun, easy summer reads. So I definitely love Lucy Score for that and recommend it. And then I have 2 more questions. Okay, we're running short on time. I have a couple minutes. I'm going to try to be quick. Somebody said, how do I deal with stress or emotional issues? I eat a lot of chocolate. Honestly, I do. I am very much a stress eater, and desserts are my weakness. I mean, in all seriousness, I think that everybody goes through stress. Everybody has their emotional days. Depending on where I am in my monthly cycle, I can be real stressed and real emotional. I try to tell myself in those moments where I'm just feeling super grumpy or super stressed, I try to remind myself just to take a breath, and also know that if I give it a little bit of time, I typically feel better. I'll also usually try to warn Steven, especially if it's like a certain part of my cycle, and just say, listen, I'm tired. I'm grumpy today. I'm trying to work my way through it, but just be extra patient with me today. And he's good about usually recognizing that before I even have to say anything to him. But I think just speaking it out loud sometimes, or sometimes just getting a hug from your kids, or just like whatever makes you feel better, like remember those things, and then when you're in the moment, do them. Because I think it's hard in the moment to try to think of things that will make you feel better. So just kind of have your plan in place. For me, it's just extra hugs from my kids, extra chocolate, sometimes a hot cup of tea, and truly just maybe having a moment to myself where I can reset my mind, reset my emotions, and just know that it will pass. Okay, the last question came from somebody. I believe you said that you are very similar to me, teaching background, very much a planner, things like that. And you asked me if I have a hard time, something along the lines of, do you have a hard time being spontaneous? Are you spontaneous? Things like that. So yes and no. If you're talking about if Steven said to me, hey, let's go to Italy tomorrow, no. That would be really hard for me. I'm not that type of spontaneous, but I try to do it in little ways. So for example, I was out running errands with the kids today, and I could tell that they were kind of over it. Honestly, I was kind of over it. And I remembered that there was this really fun park nearby. So instead of going to the next store like the kids thought I was going to, I went to the park instead, and I just surprised them when we got there. So that is how I am spontaneous, but also because I'm such a planner. And I've told you guys a couple times that I feel like sometimes I'm a no mom, where I say no to a lot of things. So Steven and I work through that with our kids by doing something called a yes day every year. And our yes day is actually this weekend. I'm so excited. But if you've read the book or seen the movie, you know the concept. It's just a day where you say yes to everything, but there's obviously rules and boundaries in place. It's not about spending a ton of money. It's just about being spontaneous as a family and having fun. And this is definitely a core memory and something that our family looks forward to every single year. So I think that helps me balance not always being the most spontaneous person in the world, and just knowing who I am and just staying true to who I am, but also feeling like I'm still creating opportunities and just memories for our family. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this gave you that cleaning motivation that you needed. If you are still listening, I want to give you just an extra special thank you. You guys are just the best. You leave the sweetest comments all the time, and you are just always so supportive of my channel. And I want to give back. So I want you to leave me a comment with your favorite Starbucks drink, or maybe a coffee cup emoji, or just whatever you like to get when you need to just get a little pep in your step with that caffeine. And I am going to pick one of you at random to get a Starbucks gift card. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.
Ain't gonna keep it low.